Hey everybody, Congressman Mark Green. It's Whiteboard Wednesday, and this week we want to talk about the impact of Joe Biden and the Democrats' spending on inflation and on everyday American families. In 2021 January, a gallon of milk, just a gallon of milk, cost the average American consumer $3.47. In May of 2022, that had risen to $4.20. A dozen eggs, $1.47. Now it's $2.86 for just a dozen eggs. If you look at the price of steak, beef, steak was $9.15 a pound in January 2021. That has now risen to $10.45. Just a pound of bacon. We love talking about meat and bacon. $5.83 in January of 2021. That pound of bacon now costs $7.36. All because of Joe Biden's American Rescue Plan. Now, most economists suggest that what tipped us over the edge for inflation was this $1.9 trillion, supposedly rescuing America, but what it did is it's crushed the economy. Because if you increase the money supply, the amount of dollars that are actually out there to spend, all while a supply chain crisis is going on and there are actually decreased goods, you have more dollars competing for fewer goods, and you get inflation. And it's now 8.6%, the highest in 40 years. Add to that massive expenditure impacting inflation, you have this assault on energy, and that too impacts significantly the price of a gallon of milk. Joe Biden has decreased the number of leases. They've closed drilling in the Gulf. They've closed drilling in Alaska. Even though they say they're giving leases, well, you know what? They're not allowing the permits for them to do the seismic studies to even know where they are giving a lease if there's oil under there. So the oil companies aren't investing. The pipeline volume. Yes, I understand that Keystone wouldn't have been made yet, but they've decreased the flow through the pipes that we have coming from Canada, other pipelines. I've talked about the permits, and they're using the SEC to actually go after the capital markets that supply the energy companies the money to do the drilling. So the cost of money has gone up. Of course, let's just look at a gallon of milk and how this assault on energy also impacts inflation. Well, the diesel costs have gone through the roof. So the farmers have to actually plow the fields and plant the grains. The price of grains have gone up. Grains and hays and things like that feed the cattle, so that increases the production costs of the milk because you have to pay more for food to feed the cattle to get the milk. And then you have to transport the milk to the market and processing to get it homogenized, etc. That's an increased cost. We still have the majority of our power in this country coming from fossil fuels, although we're changing that, granted. In Tennessee, the TVA is using nuclear for a good chunk of ours. But increased power causes an increased cost to refrigerate that milk. So that increased cost gets passed on to storing the milk in refrigeration. And it massively increases the cost of milk, eggs, beef, bacon, whatever in the economy impacted by this assault on energy. Massive government spending by this Biden administration and the Democrats, the assault on energy, is costing Americans money. If you look at it just from a simple $5,000 per American family that they're losing in purchasing power every month or every year, add that up for 1 year. So if the average family, the inflation is costing them $5,000 more dollars a month to buy the same amount of goods, times 83 million families in this country, the lost purchasing power of the American family is over $400 billion. Now, we supposedly got a benefit of $1.9 trillion, but each year it's going to cost us $400 billion more dollars. It doesn't take long for this to be a waste of money, and it's costing American taxpayers. Thank you. That's Whiteboard Wednesday.